Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Let us continue بحول wa quwwatih, and we are on ayah number 11. قال الله تعالى: وإذا قيل لهم لا تفسدوا في الأرض قالوا إنما نحن مصلحون. When it is said to them, do not make mischief on the earth, they say, we are only peacemakers. Ayah number 12. ألا إنهم هم المفسدون ولكن لا يشعرون. Indeed, they are the mischief makers, yet they perceive not. So he says, when it is said to them, who is doing the saying? He does not mention it in the ayah, and the reason why he does not mention it is to denote generality, meaning the one giving the advice could be anyone whatsoever. So it is said to them, do not make fasad on the earth. This is a key word, fasad, translates to corruption. However, we need to understand that corruption is of two types. The ideological corruption, and this is kufr and sins, and ultimately this is the worst type of corruption, because kufr is the worst corruption, and it is the worst sin. Then we can have the physical type of corruption, and this would be things like robbing other people, murdering, destroying land, wealth, buildings, and so on, invading other people's lands without due right, and all of that type of thing is physical corruption. Because the ayah is speaking about the munafiqeen, it appears the type of corruption spoken of in this ayah is the first type, the ideological corruption. Because the ideological corruption of kufr can lead to physical corruption in terms of the punishment of Allah descending on earth. As for example, he says, ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. Fasad has appeared on the land and on the sea because of what the hands of the people have earned, meaning because of their sins and transgression. Now, what is their reply? They say, we are only muslihun, people who make islah, rectification of the affairs. So that is the opposite of fasad. And you can see how they're mixing up truth with falsehood, and all people of falsehood are going to justify themselves. This is a lesson which we can take reflecting on the ayah. People of falsehood will always justify themselves, so do not be taken in by their excuses. Allah Jalla wa Ala replies with ala, word which is used to catch your attention. So it could be translated to something like alas or behold, something to catch your attention. So they are the mischief makers, but they do not perceive. The style of language when he says humul mufsidun, meaning they alone are the mufsidun. Also he says they do not perceive, meaning they literally think that what they are doing is good. This is what they actually believe. Now, why would they truly believe this? Like we said, Allah has sealed their hearts, so they see the truth as falsehood and vice versa. We seek the protection of Allah, and the lesson we learn is that when your heart is sealed, the whole world is topsy-turvy. You see the truth as falsehood and the falsehood as truth. This is the ultimate punishment in this world. You will no doubt come across many people like this, and it just needs to be known that there is no one who can guide such people when Allah has misguided them. So reflecting on these ayat, we may take the fa'idah that nifaq is one of the greatest fasad on planet Earth. It is even worse than basic kufr, because at least the kafir is not deceiving you, whereas the munafiq is deceiving you and destroying the deen from the inside. Also reflecting on the ayat, we may take the falsehood of those who say that the kuffar are those types of people who know Islam to be true and yet they still reject it. This is incorrect, because Allah Jalla wa Ala says here that these people do not perceive that their kufr is bad. So are we going to say that these people are not kuffar simply because they do not know Islam to be the truth? No, this is an absurdity. And there are many other ayat in the Quran which tell us that there are those people whose evil deeds are made fair seeming to them, So they actually think that they are upon guidance. They are kuffar, and the reason why they do not see Islam to be true is because Allah has put a seal on their hearts as a punishment for them in this life. We may also take a vital lesson that Islah and Fasad are defined by Allah Jalla wa Ala, not by the whims of the people. As in the example of the Munafiqun, they were carrying out Fasad and they defined it as Islah. No, we do not leave it down to the whims of the people. Let's look at ayah number 13. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ آمِنُوا كَمَا آمَنَ النَّاسِ قالوا أنؤمن كما آمن السفهاء ألا إنهم هم السفهاء ولكن لا يعلمون. When it is said to them, believe just like the people have believed, they reply by saying, shall we believe like the foolish ones have believed? Behold, they are the foolish ones whilst they know not. Again, the speaker in this ayah is mubham, unknown, and it is to denote generality. They are told to believe, have iman, and we have spoken about this word before, just like the people have, referring to the Sahaba. And this is to encourage the munafiqeen to have proper belief and sincere belief in their hearts, just like others have. Meaning, if other good people can do it, so can you. You will not be the odd one out. So it's an encouragement. So reflecting on this ayah, we may take that we are to call the kuffar and the munafiqeen to the deen. Whether they accept it or not is on them, and that is between them and Allah Jalla wa Ala. Your job is to call people and to invite them to embrace the deen, not just merely to teach them about the deen, because the word aminu is used in the order format, believe. We also take that those people whose hearts are sealed will always see the mu'mineen with contempt, just like we find here. They are calling the mu'mineen sufaha, foolish people, probably because they are poor and of a lowly status. So according to the kuffar, they are foolish ones, the lowly ones. And this would always be the case. It is the case today. Even the zanadiqa, the heretics, who openly advertise their deviancy and do not even hide it because they have no shame, you will find those types of people saying how backwards the Muslims are and how advanced the kuffar are with their science and technology. It's the same old argument, time after time, just packaged differently. We also take that Allah Jalla wa Ala ultimately defines who the foolish person is, and that it does not matter how intelligent you are, if your intelligence does not lead you to the guidance of Islam, then what good is your intelligence? If you score A-star grades on your exams, but these grades do not lead you to a lucrative job, then what good were these grades? You may as well have scored D grades. We also take that these kuffar, they are the foolish ones, but they do not know. Again, it's a rebuttal against those who say that a kafir is the one who knows Islam to be the truth and still rejects it. Allah Jalla wa Ala is saying that these people have no idea that they are the foolish ones and are upon misguidance. Also reflecting, we may take a fa'idah from the ayah that every single kafir is a fool, because Allah Jalla wa Ala describes them as sufaha. One might say, but these people score highly on an IQ test. How can they be foolish? We say that the intellect is of two types, aql al-idrak wa aql al-irshad. The aql al-idrak, your comprehension intellect, is in the brain, and it enables you to score highly in an IQ test. As for the aql al-irshad, the intellect of guidance, that's in the heart, and that's where taqwa is. It enables you to embrace the truth. So those two intellects should not be conflated. If you have aql al-idrak, but you have no aql al-irshad, then by the definition of Allah Jalla wa Ala, you are foolish. Also reflecting, we take a vital lesson. Allah Jalla wa Ala defends the believers. Just like we see here, He is telling us that the believers are not foolish, the kuffar are foolish. So He's turning the tables on them. This is Allah Jalla wa Ala defending the mu'mineen. Inna Allaha yudafi'u عن الذين آمنوا. And so if we want Allah Jalla wa Ala to defend us today, then we need to turn to Iman and implement it perfectly in our lives. Let's take Ayah 14. وَإِذَا لَقُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قَالُوا آمَنَّا وَإِذَا خَلَوْا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ قَالُوا إِنَّا مَعَكُمْ إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ مُسْتَهْزِئُونَ. When they meet the believers, they say, we are believers. But when they are alone with their fellow shayateen, they say, indeed, we are with you. We were only mocking. Ayah 15. Allahu yastahzi'u bihim wa yamudduhum fi tughyanihim ya'mahun. Allah mocks them and He increases them in their trespasses, wandering blindly. Okay, so the key word here is shayateen, plural of shaitan, comes from the word shatana, to be far or remote. And this is because the shaitan is far and remote from the mercy of Allah. Technically speaking, shaitan is anyone who is recalcitrant and rebellious. So a shaitan does not have to be from the jinn. There are plenty of shayateen from mankind. So in these ayahs, Allah Jalla wa Ala tells us the characteristic of the munafiqeen. When they meet the believers, they say, we believe. But when they are alone with their shayateen, who are these shayateen? The leaders of the munafiqeen. And these are from mankind. This is not from jinn. They say to them, we are with you. We are only mocking the believers. That is to say, we're messing about with them. We're leading them to think that we are with them, whereas in fact, we have nothing to do with them. We deem them to be foolish. So we're just messing about with them or mocking them. Allah Jalla wa Ala says that He mocks them. How does Allah mock? By increasing them in their misguidance, and the results of which will be known to them in the akhirah, all the while leading them to think that they are upon the truth. So just like they are trying to fool the mu'mineen, in fact Allah Jalla wa Ala is fooling them. The word tughyan is used. This is a key word from tagha, which means to overstep the limit. So it means trespass. And all types of kufr and sins is a trespass against the ahkam of Allah. Ya'mahun, wandering blindly. We may take from this ayah that istihza, or mocking, is from the descriptions of Allah Jalla wa Ala. However, it is a restricted description. What does that mean? It means that Allah Jalla wa Ala does mock, but only those people who deserved to be mocked. So He does not mock people in the absolute sense, because mockery per se is not a praiseworthy characteristic. Imagine you see a person who goes around mocking everyone. Would such a person be respected? No, he would be hated, because mockery per se is not praiseworthy. However, Allah Jalla wa Ala mocks only those people who deserve it. It's the same thing with deceiving. Deception is not a praiseworthy characteristic in and of itself. However, if you deceive a person who himself is deceptive, so you turn the tables on him, then this is a good thing. Same thing with something like revenge, muntaqim. Allah is muntaqim, it's a description of His, not a name, but it's a restricted description. Inna minal mujrimina muntaqimun. We will take revenge on the wrongdoers. So Allah takes revenge on those who deserve such a thing. So there are such things as restricted characteristics. And we have spoken more about this in our audio presentation on the Aqidah matters, so the listener may refer to that. We may also take reflecting that anyone who trespasses the laws of Allah Jalla wa Ala will be wandering blindly in this earth. So what does that mean? It is as we have said, he sees the truth as falsehood and falsehood as truth. Right is wrong, wrong is right. And for such a person, he truly believes he is upon guidance and doing the right thing, and there is no way out for such a person. We seek refuge in Allah Jalla wa Ala. هذا والله أعلم.